Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, the government condemns the Chinese Coast Guard's latest harassment of Filipino fishermen in the West Philippine Sea. A technical glitch holds up what was supposed to be the first resupply mission to the BRP Sierra Madre in Ayungin Shoal this year. And the armed forces vows to eliminate the New People's Army threat within the year. AFP spokesperson Col Francel Margareth Padilla joins us in the program. The Philippine government condemned the Chinese Coast Guard's latest harassment of Filipino fishermen in the West Philippine Sea. Officials confirmed this weekend that earlier this month, members of the Chinese Coast Guard harassed Filipino fishermen at Bajo de Masinloc to direct them to return the seashells they've gathered. PCG spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, J. Tariela, said the Chinese personnel grabbed the fishing boat of the Filipinos to stop them from leaving until they returned the seashells. Meanwhile, an armed forces official confirmed a recent resupply mission to the BRP Sierra Madre was postponed after a Filipino vessel contracted to deliver supplies encountered technical issues. Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Armed Forces spokesperson Col Francel Padilla. Colonel, it's good to finally have you. Apologies because we were supposed to interview last week, but we had breaking news. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Nice to see you online, Miss Pinky. And good morning to everyone.
Well, I'm sure I'm late, no? But congratulations for being the spokesperson of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. I'm going to start with this, Colonel. The Chinese Coast Guard once again harassed Filipino fishermen in Scarborough Shoal. That's south of Scarborough Shoal. This happened January 12 while they were gathering seashells and upot. They were ordered to return them back to sea. And reports even have it that the Chinese Coast Guard went down their boats at hinawakan pa daw yung isang boat ng Filipino fishermen. What is the reaction or the response of the AFP regarding this latest harassment?
In this case, ma'am, we will attest to our support to the Philippine Coast Guard in the operations within our territorial waters. So with this, ma'am, our Philippine Navy is constantly being around in our technical around our waters and circling the area. But at this point, hindi po sila nagpang-abot nung itong kung saan po nangyari yan. So we will be always on the guard for these instances as well, and we will be supporting the missions that will be conducted by PCG din po.
Yeah, but what kind of support can we expect, ma'am, after this latest incident of harassment? Medyo kakaiba na ho ito, Colonel, kasi bumaba na po sila ng kanilang boat at pumunta po sa bangka po ng mga Pilipino at parang hinawakan at pinipigilan hanggang ibalik yung mga seashells na nakuha nila.
Yes, ma'am, no, for the Philippine Navy po, no, since nagdidwindle na po yung internal security operations natin, then we can allocate more resources po for our external defense. So we'll have more assets po of our Navy circling around the area.
All right, that's something that is already committed by the Navy, by the Armed Forces, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. So we will ensure that the Filipinos can freely enjoy our aquatic resources, especially po in this traditional fishing grounds.
Exactly, ma'am.
So we are hoping, yes, ma'am, that China Coast Guard will respect this.
All right, so more patrols by the Navy is expected in the vicinity of Scarborough Shoal. Again, this is a traditional fishing ground, Colonel, as you mentioned. What advice do you have for Filipinos who continue, the fishermen who continue and want to fish in the area?
This, Ma'am Pinky, is our territorial waters. So we have all the right to be fishing in these waters. So we will tell all fishermen po na they can still continue with their with fishing in these territorial waters, and maipapangako po ng armed forces na nandyan po yung suporta namin para sa kanila.
I guess isama na po din natin dyan, ma'am, no? Siyempre, iba po ito. The Philippine Coast Guard also said that it was unfortunate that wala po din sila around the area dahil nga due to limited resources at marami po namang pinapatrol na area. And also the BFAR wasn't there. Parang nagkataon ho, but maybe this is just one of many, Colonel. Nagkataon po na wala po tayong presensya doon maliban doon sa mga mangingisda natin. Parang ganun po yung nangyari.
Yes, ma'am. But we take this report seriously po, and we are continuously coordinating with the Philippine Coast Guard on how we could support them in their operations. So this will be based on the National Task Force of West Philippine Sea guidelines, and we will really do our best to prevent this incident from happening again in the future.
Yeah, I guess the question, Colonel, is how soon can we expect these additional presence or patrol in Scarborough Shoal?
This is a standing order po, no? So with regards to the command conference that was recently conducted, there is a, kumbaga may deadline po talaga tayo to finish the insurgency na po within the year so that we will be having more assets be allocated to our external defense. But this is in the Navy naman po na and so this will be in tandem na po with our ISO operation. So the soonest that we can do it, ma'am,
Okay.
I think gagawin na po natin agad.
Colonel, what happened to that resupply mission to Ayungin Shoal? Was it postponed? Can you tell us what happened?
Yes, ma'am. The vessels that was supposed to be used for the RORE mission encountered some technical difficulties. So we cannot divulge the specifics of it for security reasons na rin po. But part na din kasi yan, ma'am, like the aircrafts po, we really need to check the kung airworthiness sa aircraft, we need to check the seaworthiness of these vessels din.
Yeah. I read though, Colonel, I know that the details you can give us are limited, but I'm going to say it because I read it online that it was the Onaiza May 1 that encountered some technical problems.
We cannot divulge, ma'am,
Okay.
which of these vessels, but all three are undergoing checks at this time for seaworthiness. And when we deem that they are already seaworthy, then we can continue with our RORE missions accordingly.
And let's not forget, you're not confirming, and I respect that, but one of the indigenous, no, tawag ho ba, the boats that are being used for this is the Onaiza May 1 that, I just want to bring this in, was the one that was hit, hindi ho ba, by the Chinese Coast Guard last December.
Yes, ma'am.
Opo, yung isa po, yung Onaiza May 1, yung tinamaan po. But would you be able to tell us, Colonel, if the RORE was on its way or prior to leaving ay nagka-problema, or again, is that under wraps as well?
That was prior, ma'am. No? So we do the routine checks, and the rotation and reprovisioning mission was actually rescheduled because of it was determined that there was a technical difficulty with the vessel.
I
So
see.
we rescheduled the mission to a later date to ensure the safety of our personnel. So yun po kasi yung paramount natin, ma'am. No? So the welfare of our troops is our primary concern. So that's why it was rescheduled.
Absolutely. But was this supposed to be the first RORE mission this year?
Yes, ma'am. So the schedule for the next RORE would actually depend on the necessary repairs for the vessel to be seaworthy.
Yeah. And of course, that's not something that is publicly told, hindi ho ba? Dahil,
Yes.
for obvious reasons. Are there any other available indigenous boats? We've heard of Onaiza May 1, di ho ba, and Onaiza May 2. Are there other boats that are available?
As of this time, meron tayo the all three was the one that's allocated for RORE missions. We'll be trying to see if we can consider other possibilities as well, based on the guidelines na rin po ni President, ma'am, to see all other possibilities po in terms of our operations. So
Okay.
we lead this decision to our ground commanders, ma'am, to give their recommendations accordingly.
Colonel, yung huling RORE mission, I believe, was in December. Do our troops in the BRP Sierra Madre have enough supplies?
Yes, ma'am, they do have enough supplies as of the moment.
And a question, is airdrop an option? I read I came across a tweet that actually said, that's why I needed to confirm with you, Colonel Padilla, that there was an airdrop mission that was done very recently. Is this something you can confirm?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am, the possibility of airdropping supplies, it is actually indeed part of our operational mix. And so we consider all of these options po. This is often used for emergency and on very short notice po.
Okay, was there an airdrop supply that happened recently, ma'am?
In terms of that, ma'am, we cannot comment on the operational details. Again, ma'am, such option has been part of the operational mix of the AFP, and so we employ them to support emergency supplies needed by our troops in LS-57.
I got that.
If it's given on a short period of time.
Maraming salamat. All right, we need to take a very short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today, AFP spokesperson Col Francel Padilla. Colonel Padilla, let's talk about what General Bronner earlier said about developing some of the islands that are already set up within our territory to make it, basically what he said, more habitable, hindi ho ba? When can this begin, and what are the plans moving forward?
With that, ma'am, during the command conference, the Chief of Staff, General Bronner, said that we will always look out for the welfare of our troops. So this includes those that we deploy in the 7 islands and 2 features. So with that, ma'am, for 2024, it's already embedded in our budget to uplift the living conditions of our troops that are stationed in these 9 areas.
And when we talk about these 9 areas, Colonel, is there a priority? Meron ho bang plano na kung alin sa kanila yung uunahin? For example, the area or the BRP Sierra Madre in Ayungin Shoal.
This will all be done in tandem, ma'am. No? So these are different areas covered by different units then. So because the budget will be given naman po na sabay-sabay, sabay-sabay din po yung pag-develop natin.
I see.
So this is, yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, ma'am.
This is actually aimed at enhancing the living conditions for our troops stationed in the region. So ang main din dito, ma'am, are equipment such as yung desalination machine, which is actually a crucial addition, especially for the troops in BRP Sierra Madre.
Opo, kailangan po yan para sa tubig nila. And dito po
Yes.
sa 7+2, the 9 areas, these are all obviously being manned by members of the AFP.
Yes, ma'am. We have Marines in the area.
Marines in the area. All right. Destabilization talks. I know you've been asked about this. Bakit ho ba hindi siguro yung sasabihin na lang mamatay-matay itong sinasabing issue ng destabilization?
Actually, ma'am, no, we have continuously been saying this, that internally in the armed forces of the Philippines, there are no such talks in terms of destabilization. So actually, ma'am, sinabi na po ni Chief of Staff General Bronner na there is not even a need for us to do loyalty checks because there's actually wala man lang mang ubong-ubong kahit sa loob po ng AFP about destabilization.
Wala po sa loob kahit na po bulong.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And just siguro to clarify, what is the policy when entering the camp? Because they were saying that nagkaroon daw po ng tinatawag na temporary suspension of the issuance of decals or stickers for private vehicles. What is this controversy or this talk or this issue about having to enter camps na meron daw mga nahihirapan or hindi pinapayagan pumasok? Can you again please clear this issue?
Yes, Ms. Pinky, no, this is standard procedure. No, whenever you enter camps, really, you have to have those decals to see if you are really authorized to enter camps. So may iba-ibang levels po yung decal natin, but we are trying to digitize and modernize our systems. So because it's January, syempre po ma'am, nag-expire yung decal for last year. So we have been more strict. Medyo tumatagal po tayo sa gates because we have to be reminded to renew our decals. Yung iba po ma'am, sinesequester po yung mga decals po na hindi na po updated so that they have to renew. And over and above that, we have installed QR codes na rin po to see if yung decals po natin talagang naka-allot dun sa specific na vehicles, no? So for digitalization. So yun po, basically that's what's gonna hinder na lang din po yung entrance to the gates. But kung sino po yung makakapasok, we are just implementing standard operating procedures.
But itong expired na decals, ma'am, kailangan po, sabihin po natin pumasok sa kampo, pagka nakita ng expired, kailangan pong tanggalin at basically ibalik or isurrender to authorities? Ganun ho ba?
Yes, ma'am. Kung yun po yung binigay na instructions at a specific point in time, meron naman po yung leeway sa ngayon. Since it's still January, pinapayagan pa po yan, giving you enough time to renew your decals.
But what I guess the question is, what is the policy on retired officers entering camps? Are they allowed? Are they being scrutinized? Meron din po silang bang mga decals? How does that work?
They're not being scrutinized naman, ma'am. No, it's just the same as everyone else. But we just need to establish who is really entering the camps. So wala naman pong distinction yon whether you're retired or not. So wala po silang, hindi po sila hinihigpitan more than the others. But meron din po kasi tayong procedures with getting decals, no? So you have to have a sponsor from the active service and all of those things. So yun lang naman po, ma'am. So we have to check those when someone enters the camp.
Colonel, meron ho bang ban from entering the camps? Meron ho bang listahan na hindi to pwede papasukin?
There's no such thing, ma'am, as a ban. We just need to establish po the identity of people entering our camps.
And how is the morale of the AFP now? And in the wake of supposed destabilization talks and a lot of controversies, a number of controversies here and there. Tell us more about the morale of the AFP.
Ma'am, no, since it's January, we have a lot of New Year's call. So lahat po ng mga units natin nagko-conduct niyan. And of course, our commanders, even our ground commanders, check on the morale and welfare of our troops. So as of this point, ma'am, we can say that the morale of the AFP is high.
Let's quickly jump into the plan or the order, basically, to eliminate the communist insurgency this year. Colonel, please tell us more about this. Would you say this is a tough call?
Yes, ma'am. With the command conference, no, the ground commanders were given this deadline to actually eliminate it altogether for the year 2024. So as of the reports, ma'am, just of January, there are no more active guerrilla fronts in this period. So we have, we're facing 11, which is a previously weakened guerrilla fronts. So these are, they are on a weakened state, so they are not, they're yet to be dismantled. So yun po yung status natin.
Colonel, let me clarify that. Well, ang sabi niyo po, wala ng active guerrilla fronts. However, meron pong 11 weak guerrilla fronts. Would that be correct?
Yes, ma'am. So when we say weak, ma'am, they don't have enough manpower already or firearms or resources to establish a united front. So kaya po wala ng active that we're seeing.
They don't have the resources to, siguro to launch any major assault? Ganun ho ba yun? Would that mean that?
To establish a front, ma'am, like a bigger organized front.
So weak, parang they're pretty scattered and konti lang po sila.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
And the 11, basically, would it be right to say ito na lang yung problema, itong 11 weak guerrilla fronts?
Yes, ma'am, sa ngayon, yun na lang, no? From the strength of 25,000 way before, ma'am, no? They're dwindling down to around 1,500 at this point.
And where would be the siguro center of operation of the AFP in trying to eliminate the NPA?
Ma'am, it will depend, no, ma'am. So the strengths and the veracity of their attacks in certain areas. So kung saan po yung mas marami po tayong encounters, that we will pool our efforts more on those areas.
And is eliminating them rather this year, 2024, is that doable?
It is actually a challenge, ma'am, for our ground commanders. But for 2023, ma'am, the AFP was able to clear 409 barangays or 100% clearing rate. So we're really hoping that ma-end na po natin itong ISO natin within the year or even earlier, ma'am, so that we can now pool our efforts towards external defense.
And ilan pa hong barangays yung kailangan ma-clear, Colonel?
Sa ngayon, ma'am, the AFP has conducted 2,103 operations, and we were able to neutralize around 1,042 communist NPA terrorists. No? So, ang kailangan pa nating tapusin, ma'am, is yung weekend fronts na lang. As to number of barangays, ma'am, I have yet to take that info from our ground commanders.
Colonel, we're going to take another short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today, AFP spokesperson Col Francel Padilla. Colonel, this is the time wherein we allotted to get to know you better. Again, you are the first AFP female spokesperson. Was it hard for you to accept the job? And was this something that seemed to be in the pipeline, something you thought that you wanted to do or was possible?
Actually, it came as a surprise. I am a signal officer and more of concentrated in C4S operations, so command, control, communications, and cyber operations.
Yeah, I think they called you your General Bronner calls you the cyber woman, security expert. Ano ho ba tawag niya sa'yo? Tama ho ba yun?
Yes, ma'am, he called me cyber woman.
Cyber woman. And I think you also won an award. You know, to be very transparent, it was a post by Nina Corpus Rodriguez. She had interviewed you, and there's a lot of siguro enlightening things, no, about Colonel Padilla. You are a single mom. Unfortunately, your husband passed in 2015 due to a helicopter crash. Is that correct, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. There was a fatal crash that he encountered back in 2015 in Mount Bacolod po in Batangas.
Right. And from then on, kayo na po nagtaguyod sa dalawang anak ninyong lalaki, who, by the way, according to the post of Nina, one is nasa PMA po ngayon?
Yes, ma'am. He's yearling and PMA right now.
I see. And your other son, what is the plan of your other son? I believe he's in high school?
He's already graduated in college, ma'am. He's a data scientist.
He's a what, sorry?
He's a data scientist.
I see. All right. You must be very proud of your sons, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. They're both following our footsteps, actually.
That's right. What do you want to go to, ma'am? What was your vision in this job that you're in the profession that you're in? What is that one thing you always thought you wanted to be or you wanted to achieve for you personally and for your family?
Actually, ma'am, getting into the profession of arms, syempre alam natin na challenging talaga yan sa pagpapamilya. So, ang vision ko, ma'am, is to make the most significant difference that I can do for our country. No? So, yun talaga we want to ignite that patriotism sa ating mga kababayan. So, it's also very good for me to have been given this designation. At least, ma'am, I can now have a voice towards this. So before, ma'am, I used to do a lot, actually I'm still doing a lot of lectures and forums on cybersecurity. So kailangan po maturuan natin ang pinakamaraming Pilipino kung paano po protektahan ang sarili nila sa cyber domain. So now with this designation po, mas luwawak pa po yung sakop ng ating pwedeng ma-share po sa ating publiko.
It seems that you have a lot to share, Colonel. Ano po? And again, we congratulate you for the position and just the best of luck, ma'am. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Maraming salamat po, Miss Pinky.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.